There we go. Hi, everyone. All right. Sorry for the few minutes. I actually was trying to unpack this delivery just to make sure that they were okay. And so I got the cuttings. So we can look at them together and try to identify them. And yeah, I was nervous because it was supposed to arrive and um they was delayed slightly, and so I just wanted to really check in on the plants. And so I was like, let me just open the box. So I just transferred everything into here so I can show you. But then it also comes with this. I have no idea what this is. So this is a mystery pack. So we'll look at this together. Um, but hello everyone. I hope everyone had a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're tuning in from. Um, but yeah, just so I had mentioned a few weeks back that I wanted, since it's spring, I wanted to, and I had uh, had a rough couple last weeks, and so um, I hadn't been watching a lot of my succulent cuttings, my propagations as I should have. So I lost a few, and a few were casualties of Maple, the cat, tipping over a lot of my little pond propagations as well. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna, I refrained from purchasing any during the winter because shipping during the winter is very risky. A lot of succulents, even though they might be more cold hardy during that process, especially if there are delays, um, you can lose the entire set of plants that you order, and especially like foliage plants, philodendrons, even hardier plants like ZZs can get affected by colder weather. So uh, I know I've shared this before, but even my Raven ZZ, I ordered it 2 or 3 winters ago, and it arrived. The whole top part of the plant was completely burned from being frozen. It turned into it. It looked horrible. It turned into like gelatin. I had to cut everything, and it took a really long time, but it's grown back. So shipping in the winter definitely a no-no. So since it started warming up and we've been consistently over 50 degrees, I was like, you know what? Let me try. And I ordered a mystery pack. And so I think this one came out to like 15.99 on eBay. And it was just a mystery pack of succulents. So I had no idea what was coming. They just post like some pictures of what you might get, and that's all. So I was like, perfect timing. I wanted to make sure to show you all, and we can look through this. Uh, Another cool thing, which also got delayed, also from eBay. So I don't know if it was, I don't know what's happening right now. Um, but I ordered something really cool from eBay. It was supposed to have gotten here already, and it's out for delivery. And it's supposed to be here before 9 p.m. So I guess I'll show you next week. I'll probably post a picture, of course, in the Facebook group, but I'll show everyone next week. But what I saw, I just had a weird idea. And I thought, I wonder if this is sold. And it actually is. And so, bald cypress trees, they create these roots that jut out of the ground. And they're known as, well, they were called nematophores, but they're also known as cypress knees. And I had seen artwork made with cypress knees. Uh, and I wondered, is that like something you can just order? Like pieces of cypress knee? Because some cypress, bald cypress, like they are cut. So I was like, all right, maybe. And sure enough, there was a seller that when the cypress trees are cut down, they cut the cypress knees and they sell them. So I ordered one and I was really excited about it. It's such a weird a weird thing, but I was like, this would be really cool to have and to show, because it's one of those types of roots that is like it goes against gravity. So it's an example of, I think it's called negative geotropism. So positive geotropism is it's following the path of gravity, which is usually downward. And well, which is not, I shouldn't say usually downward. It is downward. And then negative geotropism is something that's going the opposite of gravity. And it's one of those roots that does that. It's not the only root that exhibits that. There are different types of roots that will grow out, um, like of the trunks, even of branches. We have like stilt roots and different roots that like that will kind of grow in very odd ways. But this one is really neat. And they used to be called nematophores, because it was believed that they helped oxygenate. Yes, cypress knees. Yes, Suzanne. Yes. So they were called nematophores because the previous theory was that, swampy areas where they tend to live, um, very like wetland areas, they love, they're very water loving. Uh, they would sprout up and they look like little, like almost like a really thin ant hill, but made out of wood. And so uh, the belief was that it was helping to get more oxygen because a lot of those areas, the water flow is very slow or it's stagnant for most of the time. And so a lot of oxygen can sometimes be deprived, from what's in there. Um, so yes, yes, Suzanne, like a stalagmite, yes. And so, but yeah, but it's growing like the opposite, it's super cool. And but they believe that it was to help get more oxygen to the primary roots to help the tree. But then upon like further studies and like dissecting them and looking at them, they didn't really find any mechanisms that necessarily helped get more oxygen. So that theory is still kind of like, eh. But another, the other prevailing theory is that they just kind of help to kind of spread the plant out, anchor the plant as well, provide kind of like anchorage and support. Um, so yeah, so it's a really cool, odd feature, and so I'm so happy that someone sells that. So, oh yeah, Holly, I'll show you. I'll show you what they look like. Um, I need to dig through my footage because a few years ago, when Brian and I went to New Orleans, um, we went on a like a tour of a nature preserve there, and that was my first time seeing cypress knees, and it was super cool to see. So I am excited to finally have one like preserved that then I can use as an educational piece. So yeah, that's something I I'm in the process of that. So I'm kind of grabbing different things that I have that are used for my students, and I need to catalog what I have. But here you can just see, um, let's see, this one's a pretty good example. Oh, this one too. So they look every single one is individual, but they basically look like this. It looks very odd. Um, these are oh yeah, the cones of the bald cypress. Um, hold on. I can move my image up here. Here we go. So you can see them, of course, happening in drier ground, but then you can also see them poking out of the water in more kind of what's it called? Just kind of sticking out, just jutting out. And you can see here, so yeah, so this. So they were called nematophores. So think of like pneumonia, right? Nematophores. Um, so they were believed to help oxygenate, and then but yeah, after they've like kind of cut them open and really checked them out under a microscope, they're like, we don't really find that that's really necessarily true. So here it even says that there's a little evidence for that assertion, right? So but yeah, they just look really cool. You could see here how they're growing at the base of the mother tree. Um, it's just very interesting. And of course, my brain would say, you know what? I would like to own one of these, one of those. If people happen to sell them, I'd love a preserved one. And I mean, I've seen that people do art. So here, wow, what? I didn't know this, but apparently people carve them. That is cool. Let's see. Wow. Whoa, look how tall that one is. This is news to me, so I'm seeing this for the first time. I knew that people polish them. So I've seen them where they kind of take all the bark off and they polish it, kind of like with driftwood, and then they put like a glaze, like like a sealant, and it looks really cool, but I feel it takes away from like the I appreciate more if it's preserved with the wood intact, right? I just feel like it would look cooler. But this is super neat. I did not know that people actually carve with them. That is so cool. Wow. That's something I want to get into is carving with wood and like whittling. I went on this walk with this really great tree guide. His name is Levi. If anybody here is in New York City, he's wonderful. And you're always learning. So I even a lot of times I go to these to walks and I'm like I know what they're gonna what the tree is, but there's quite a few I don't know, and so it's wonderful. And then also hearing how other guides identify the characteristics, right, that they hone in on to know. So one thing that I really need to work on is bark. So I'm very used to patterns. So for me, the seeing how the tree's branches look, of course, if they have leaves, but I've had to also learn how to identify trees without leaves and based on buds. So like buds, um, different types, like the arrangement of the branches, sometimes the fruit that's left on the tree. So this can even be dried fruit, so like sweet gum balls, things like that, things that are left behind that help you identify the tree. And then I'm pretty good with more mature bark, but I struggle with younger trees. I get them very mixed up because I mean, there's a really big change between the young tree bark and the mature tree bark. So all of this to say, this tangent is just to say that I love going on tree walks because then that just further, helps you practice for one, but also help kind of fill in those gaps in knowledge. And he happens to what he does is he finds pieces of wood that have fallen, and what he does is he makes spoons. He makes wooden spoons out of all these different trees. And so he'll find like a big chunk of like an oak, let's say like a white oak, and he'll go ahead and cut it down to a size, and then he uses whittling tools, like these little carving tools, and to get it to be this little spoon. And he carries a whole thing of like different spoons for all these different trees that he's collected. And it's beautiful. And it really made me, I'm like, I really want to learn how to carve with wood. So I definitely want to go down that rabbit hole of carving. Um, but yeah, I didn't realize people also carved cypress knees. Um, that is super cool. So yes, I just learned something about cypress knees there because I didn't know that. But here you can see how some people will kind of, wow, this wasn't even very polished. That's very expensive. Mine was like $10. So this is probably really big then. Um, wow, that one's pretty. That's so expensive. But that's cool. See, that's an interesting piece. Um, but not for that much money. But that is a very cool piece. It almost looks like a like a tropical island, like a mountain formation or something. That looks super cool. See, I start thinking that would look really cool, like in a terrarium. But yeah, that's a lot of money. So not necessarily these. But yeah, you can buy them really cheap. So like that. So mine is gonna look somewhat like this. So definitely not sculpture quality like that, but it's gonna be a really cool educational kind of piece for me to use. Um, and yeah, so I'm excited. And so it's supposed to be here by the end of day. It was supposed to get here last week. So hoping that it's okay. But yeah, Cypress knees are really awesome. So let me stop the share real quick. Let me grab these chats. Um, oh, you too. So Suzanne says that they had a package too coming via USPS and it took a really long time. So like maybe there's just something going on with shipping in general. Yeah. Um, yeah, the cypress knees are roots. So they're considered root organs. So they're like part of the roots. They form on the roots. Uh, Similarly, so roots tend to have, well, they call them like root organs or root attachment. So things even like for storage organs, like stolons, root tubers. So if you're thinking like potatoes, even like sweet potatoes. So they're all considered like storage organs that attach to the roots. And so it's a similar thing. It's part of the roots, just like an odd thing that happens to grow, and they're just very, very interesting. Um, oh, Suzanne, have you tried carving soap? No, I haven't tried carving it. I did make soap for several years. I would make soap with like different herbal preparations and that was fun. That was fun. I still have all my stuff. I was actually thinking about um picking that up again because I liked making soap. That was fun. And I had the different molds that I would use, and so I didn't have to carve it. But now you're making me think I should try to carve some soap and see because I do have those things. I don't have any wood whittling tools, but I do have um all my soap stuff and tools to like cut them out of the molds and things like that that I could technically use for for um for for carving them. And I think I also have things for carving clay as well, which I assume I could potentially repurpose for that. So so yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna definitely try that. So let me get myself situated here because I want to show you what did happen to come in. And so I just kind of took all the cotton and put it here. So it looks like this looks like an aeonium. So, how they packed it, so they put all this cotton fluff and they kind of inserted all the little crowns that they gave me. So these are considered crown cutting. So there's a lot of cotton fiber thing kind of that I'm gonna have to remove. Uh, but they sat basically all of them like this into a big chunks of it, and then they put it on top. So it was like sandwich. So I mean, they made it through shipping great. I don't see any breakage or significant bruising. Um, and so aeoniums particularly are very, very, very prone to bruising, whether by handling or via shipping. So you always want to be very, very gentle with your aeoniums. This looks like a black aeonium. I'm not sure if you can see it's actually very, very dark, but it's like a dark, dark green almost. Really beautiful. And so yeah, it's just clean cut. So crown cutting. So this looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited um to see propagate that, get that rooted. This looks like it might be a ghost plant. I'm not sure. Might be a ghost plant. This one right here. Also, again, just a clean cut. So a lot of these are like that. The stump will continue to produce growth for the sellers. Um, yeah, I've bought cuttings over the years from private sellers. I bought them off eBay, off even private sellers like on Facebook Marketplace. So there used to be a seller in Facebook Marketplace, and she would just go out to her garden and just prune. And every time she had an order, and that's how she got her orders filled. This looks like another aeonium. This one has slightly longer stem. It does look like hen and chicks. Yeah, they do. Um, the semperverum. Yeah, sempervirens, I think, is the hen and chicks. This also looks like another aeonium. So not as round as this other one. Let's see here. I think this is another ghost plant. This one. I like the purple touch there. I mean, and it's really nice form. So far so good. So I feel like I might have to remove this one here before I put it to propagate, but then I will try to propagate all of these little loose leaves that end up coming. Let me see here. I think this is another aeonium. Yep, I think it is. Oh, it actually has another attached. So here is this other aeonium, and you can see this has an attached little aeonium. There's a lot of these fibers, so I am gonna have to pick through these. But that one's really pretty. I like the edge. Here, maybe you can see the edge a little bit better. Ah, so you could see here under, let me see where. Here. So see these black marks here? So you can see some of these, even the other leaves can sometimes cause what's called bruising. And so aeoniums, they're just much more prone to it. So any like damage, if you squeeze the leaf a little too hard, if it gets, moved around during shipping, those leaves will get bruised, especially it's like the underside. You will see some damage. Um, I'm not sure what this is. I feel like it's also another aeonium, but I'm not sure. Let's see. It's curled back. It kind of reminds me of the what do they call them? The Green Mountain Rose, but I don't think that's that. But it does kind of look like another aeonium. Just the shape of the leaves and the way that it's growing. What do you guys think? I think it might be another aeonium. I don't think that's, let's see. What else is in here? Oh, I think this might be an echeveria. Might be an echeveria. You can see the bottom side. Might be an Echeveria. Um, yeah, might be one. That one's really beautiful. Holy moly. Yeah, and the underside has this like touch of like a purple, like a maroon on the underside. That's really pretty. And I like the very tips. Just has that little apex there. Right there. That's really cute. This one's really pretty. So with echeverias and some other succulents, they have what is called commonly it's called farina, but I'm trying to remember what it's extra cuticular wax. I'm trying to think ecto. Basically, it's like a wax that looks like a powder that forms on several types of succulents, and it's meant to help protect them against moisture loss, against it's kind of like a sunscreen, and you can actually end up removing it with your fingers by accident when you're handling them. Now, some will continue to put out the wax, and so you don't have to necessarily worry, but there are some succulents that if once you remove the wax, that's it. It can't replenish it once it's lost. Um, this one's really, really, really pretty. Oh, Suzanne. Oh, with ivory soap bars. Oh, I need to try that. I'll buy a ready-made bar and play around with it and see. Now, I'm not sure what this one is. It's a little floppy. It looks like it's much thinner than the other succulents. Maybe a sedum. I don't think it's a type of crassula. Um, I'm not sure about this one. I feel like it might be some type of sedum, maybe. If anybody recognizes this guy, it's very, very thin in comparison to the other succulents. I'm wondering if it might be some type of sedum. But yeah, this one does look like it has a little bit of bruising. It doesn't look as happy as the other cuttings, but I think it's because it is a slightly more delicate. But I don't recognize this one. So that'll be fun. And you can actually see some of the farina got rubbed off here. You can see these like darker areas that are missing, I said mixing, missing the um the wax. So well that. And then this, and I completely forgot the name of this plant. I think it is an no, I don't think it's an echeveria. What is the name of this plant? No, I don't think it's pachyphytum. Can't remember the name of the plant. This guy, if anybody recognizes that. So I'm seeing these as I just opened the box and put them into this plastic bin. So really didn't take a look at them. So I'm not sure. Um, it looks so familiar, and I feel like I know what it is, but it's not coming. It might be an echeveria. I'm not sure. If anybody recognizes this, I like this one. It's very odd looking, and it has a very like a gray kind of color to it. I really like that gray coloration. That is a super cool succulent. And again, it gives me a nice amount of stem room, which I appreciate because I will be propagating this in mixes of pond. So I'm gonna need a little bit of that stem room. This looks super cool. Very, very cool. All right, so I'm gonna put these crowns back into this box, and I will be putting them all into little little pots with pawn in them to get them going. I'm really excited about this guy. So, do any of the cuttings have roots, or do you just cut pieces? No, so none of these have roots. These are all fresh crown cuttings. I didn't know what I was getting, so it looks like so they gave me some crown cutting. So let's see, that was one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Okay, and I think it was supposed to be 15 if I'm not mistaken. It was like 15 for 15.99, something like that. Where did I put my scissors? Oh, they're behind my computer. So I have no idea what this is. So it's wrapped in plastic and there is a paper towel in there. I am seeing something on top, which I think is sedum. Think might be a type of sedum. So we'll find out together what is in here. So it feels cool to the touch. So it looks like, and the paper towel is not soaking wet, but I can feel like a little bit of dampness, but it's not soaking wet. So that's something with succulents is you don't want to send them soaking wet or with like a wet paper towel or with wet moss. Usually succulents are sent bare root because it's just easier that way. Because if too much moisture is on them for too long, you'll get rotten plants. Now that has happened to me a lot of the time, when especially when I first started ordering plants online. So before I used to just have plants that I would purchase, or I would get like cuttings from someone I knew. And then in the early, like, yeah, 2014, 2015, I was like, wait, you can order them? So I developed that habit. But let's see here. So I learned all that to say again. I learned that it was if I'm gonna buy a succulent, especially, I will tell folks if they don't specify in their little like description, hey, can you send that bare root? Because it's just makes the whole process easier. So I took off the plastic and I'm just very, very gingerly. Oh, some of these have roots. Some of these have roots. All right. Oh, ooh. Okay. So far it's looking like a mix of different sedums. These, I think I see some baby kalanchoes and this might be white watch chain. Might be watch chain. No, no, actually, I think this is also a type of sedum. So these actually do have roots. Um, so here, I think this is a dragon blood sedum. It's like this really deep red sedum, but you can see this one does have roots. So these tend to be creepers. So sedums are awesome. I really like sedums. They tend to be ground cover. There's a lot of sedums that are will just overwinter. So you can keep them outside. And like here, I have a lot of neighbors that have hen and chicks and sedum growing in their yards or in pots. And snow will be completely on top of them. And come spring, you have a bunch of sedum again. So they will overwinter. They might die back, but then they'll keep coming back, and it's super cool. So they have these little like rhizomes, and so they spread. So I'm not surprised. This was probably some pruning for her, for the seller. But yeah, so we have some it looks like dragon's blood. So there's a couple pieces of it. So you can see that the back is really pretty. And then it has that deep red. And it looks like so the new growth comes in green, and then it looks like it that then turns as it hardens, turns into this really deep red color. There's a couple pieces, so let me see what that is. Now these don't have any roots. This might be some type of kalanchoe. Kind of looks this one too. Variegated. Not sure if this is a type of sedum, but this looks like it might be, and it's not a baby jade. So it might be a baby kalanchoe of some type. You can see that. So yeah, no roots, but there's a couple pieces like this. There's these. These are really pretty. Not sure what these are. Much more of the dragon. The dragon, I really think it's called dragon blood. It's like a really deep red sedum. Uh, hmm, I'm not sure. This might be a type of kalanchoe, maybe. So there's two pieces of this. Might be another type of sedum, but I am tempted in the late summer, late spring, early summer, when Home Depot starts to put out all of their the succulents outside, they sell a tray of different sedums. They're all mixed sedum. And I wanted to get it last year. I was really tempted because I think the whole thing was like 16 bucks for the entire tray. And you get all these like mini plants that are growing in like this mat. And you could keep them like that. Uh, and so I was very, very tempted. So if I see them again this year, I might just do it. I think this is another sedum. This one also has roots. But yeah, I think now the rest are all just mixed sedums. These you could see are actually growing in a little bundle with roots. So that yeah, that is adorable. I can actually plop these directly into soil. So the ones that do have roots, I can just put into soil. Now sedum, they do tend to appreciate watering more than other types of succulents that might prefer to get completely dry. Sedums will dry much faster. Um, so they do kind of soak up, they use water pretty readily. So I'm actually thinking I might put them more so in little nursery pots versus terracotta pots. So um, because my fear is that if they're not in if they're in terracotta, they might dry too quickly and I might not get to them in time and I'll lose a lot. So I think I might just do nursery pots. Tiny, tiny nursery pots. But here, this one's really pretty. Also looks like some type of sedum. And I'm trying to remember the um the relationship of sedum in the phylogenetic chart. So I think sedums are part of Saxifragus. So I feel like it's related to things like currants and gooseberry. It's like in that same grouping, if I'm not mistaken. What's up? What else is in Saxifragus? I feel like witch hazel is in Saxifragus. Um, I have to check, but has some interesting cousins. I need to work on that again. I had spent many years like learning how plants were related. Um, and I like over the last year or so I really haven't been practicing. So I need to tune up. I need to practice. So, I mean, what I could do is use that as an excuse to do some classes on that. If that's of any interest to anybody, let me know. I am going to start offering a bunch of different classes, um, and different times and days and things like that, for folks if you'd like. I am planning to actually start shooting content for, I have some videos that I had done that I need to edit, but then I have some new content that I want to film myself teaching, so that I have it available like a pre-recorded series on my website. And so if anyone is interested, when I am going to do those filmings, I can just kind of set a scheduled time so that all of you, if you'd like, you can hop on whenever. It's cool to have an audience. It's better than just talking to myself when I'm recording. And so I can post that up. I'll set like a time, like a schedule for myself of when I will sit down and record those so that if anybody wants to tune in, you can. And then, you're seeing it before everybody else. So, um, yeah, so you'll see when I teach the class, and then you'll be able to see the finished product once it's edited and stuff is added in. But yeah, so some of these do have roots. You can see a little bit. These are all like little sedums. They look so delicate. I don't want to mess with them too much. But the rest, yeah, the rest is all looks like just different types of sedum. There's this one that's those that are kind of like neon green. Ooh, this one's pretty. Hold on. Not sure if those neon greens are like a lighter variety or just younger, but this one's really pretty and has those roots. So I'm excited to get these planted up. They look really neat, and they're all very different. Um, and so I appreciate that. Some sellers, when you get these mystery boxes, they might just send you, let's say, Chrysula, and that's all they send you. So you might get like 10 different types of jade plants. But if that's what you want to do, right? Let's say you love jades, so you purposely order like a mixed Chrysula box. And so then that's what you end up getting is just a bunch of different so it can be different like just general crasulas, or some folks will specifically say it's Chrysula ovata. Guys, don't argue. Mozart and Jules are currently cuddling on the floor next to me, but Jules just starts to pick on Mozart while he's sleeping. Leave him alone, buddy. He's just chilling. He's just chilling. Leave him alone. I have to break up fights here. Um, yeah, the cats are pretty funny. Oh man, they're just these guys are like one will be sleeping and the other will just start to pat its head repeatedly, and you can just see the annoyance. So I end up having to separate them. Like, all right, guys, one in one room because you guys are gonna start a fight. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to plant these up. So I'm definitely gonna set those up. Uh, and yeah, I'm thinking tiny nursery pots. And so I actually have some tiny nursery pots off to the side. I'm actually giving away a bunch of pots. I don't know if anybody is here in New York City who's interested, but I'm giving away a bunch of hanging pots. Let me see here. So I currently have this whole thing that I'm giving away. And these are the hangers for these pots. So I had put a rubber band. Whoop, I'm dropping everything. They're plastic, but yeah. So I have the hangers. So if anybody's looking for hanging pots, I'm giving them away for free. Uh, so so yeah, let me know if anybody is looking for anything. Um, because I'm happy to give you everything if you'd like that whole stack, you can have it. No worries. But yeah, so I have a bunch of these. So these are the itty bitty 1.75. So really, really tiny nursery pots. And so I might actually just use these for the sedums so that I can get them uh started in this. And for these, I will be using a succulent mix. However, I might I have a mix that is uh it's like coco coir with lava rock, and it tends to hold a little bit more moisture. And so I might throw a little bit of that in with a succulent mixture that's going to be um, some pre-made succulent mix that includes uh, so what I had I make my succulent mixes. So I add um, so I get uh, a succulent soil mix that then I add perlite to, um, poultry grit, which is crushed granite. I add a little bit of leca in there. I add horticultural charcoal and a little bit of worm castings. And I have two of those. So I make that base. Oh, I said perlite. Yeah, I said perlite. So I make that base. And then on top of that, for one of them, I'll add some orchid bark and a little bit of coco coir. And so that is for my succulents that are like the rainforest cacti, that are different types of like epiphytic cacti, or different types of succulent or succulent-like plants like peperomias. So those have like some wood chips and a little bit of that coco coir in there just to hold moisture a little bit more than the other one that's going to be like super dry. I also basically use that type of mix for my aeroids. I might add a little bit more like perlite in there, some more wood chips, so it's a little chunkier for my aeroids. But the base is basically the same. It's just slightly different ratios. But yeah, you want a little bit of moisture held in with some of these moisture loving succulent or succulent like plants. So like with for instance for like my ripsalis, for the holiday cacti, so for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter cacti. Uh, so for those types of oh, also for like Hoyas too. A lot of Hoyas will appreciate that type of like an epiphytic type of mix as well. So it holds a little bit of water but dries rather quickly. It's very chunky. It lets a lot of air in. So it's not very like stagnant and muddy. But it's still holding a little bit of moisture for a longer period of time versus the other mix that's like much more drier. So once it like dries, it dries very, very quickly. It doesn't hold as much moisture. So once the plant uses up the water, it's like bone dry. But and though that type of mix I use like for my ZZs. So like my ZZ plants, for my euphorbias. So for my euphorbias, for my opuntias, um, for my what are those? For my agaves, for my uh, aloes, and for the kalanchoes, I do use more of that other mix that has the wood chips and the cocoa coir, just to give them a little bit more moisture. Um, but yeah, even let me see. I'm looking across here. Yeah, even the sansevierias also. So they were reclassified to Dracaena, but the snake plants, I also use that drier mix, so that it doesn't hold moisture like that. Even with the ponytail palms as well, so they have a much drier mix. And my gasterias, I'm just looking like across the way to see what kind of mixes that I have for those for my haworthias. So yeah, those mixes dry really, really quickly. Um, I don't want them sitting in a lot of water. One plant that I am gonna have to repot soon, that I'm very nervous about doing it, is my Hoya linearis. So I got my Hoya linearis, I think last spring. So I have never had luck with Hoya linearis. I think this is my third or fourth one. Um, And this was my biggest one because I think the other ones I would get them really small because I was scared that I was going to kill them. And then I inevitably did kill them. And I couldn't keep them happy. But this is my first time where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a gorgeous plant. I'm gonna buy it. And I bought this like little basket of it, and I managed to keep it happy. And I water it when I remember. So it's probably getting watered about every 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I give it a really good drench. So I give it a bottom water. It gets completely drenched. And then I hang it right up at the window again. It's in a western window, and I forget about it again. I'll actually bring it real quick just to show you, but I don't know it's happy, and so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing with it. Uh, so out of all the Hoyas that I've ever had, Hoya linearis tends to be the one that needs much more moisture. The leaves are very delicate. Um, it really, it can, it can dry out like super fast before you even realize what's happening. You'll have like a big massive die off. Um, but so far I've managed to keep it alive and growing and happy, and this one worried me. So because I have so many plants, that's why I prefer to pick plants that are like succulent like, or aeroids, for instance, plants that can dry out, and then I can water them like every 2 weeks or so. I have tried many times. I'll see plants that I have to remember to water every week. And I'm like, all right, I'm willing to try. So I struggle with that. But this so far has been great. And you can see all the new growth. It has all the new growth comes in really cute. Let me see how I can. Here we go. So it's like much lighter and it's super fuzzy. I mean, the whole thing is fuzzy, but it's really accentuated in the younger growth. Um, and it's actually beautiful, super delicate. And this is a Hoya. You can see that new growth right here, all that like lime green growth here, all of that. So, so far so good. I mean, here we go. You can see. So it's been really happy. I haven't had any massive like strings die off. I have managed to keep it okay. And I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of those plants that I'm going to have to watch like with eagle eyes. And no, I've been able to water it at the frequency of the plants around it, which is about every 2 to 3 weeks. So that has just made it so much easier because I thought that it was going to be one of those plants. So I have explained this before, but I tend to group my plants together in terms of how often they are watered. So because I collect quite a few of the same genus, so like the same family of plants, so a lot of like my euphorbias, I keep a lot of them together, or I'll have like some euphorbias, some sansevierias, and then some mixed cacti or something like that in a grouping. And so I'll be like, okay, well these I know I have to water every like 2 to 3 weeks or so. The cacti, since they're in smaller nursery pots, they do actually need a little bit more moisture. So I'll maybe water those like every 3 weeks. But they're all kind of timed the same. So if I could just kind of do that spot and be done with it. But then sometimes I have these like oddball plants where I need to put them in that area because they need that light situation, but they don't mesh with the same kind of frequency of watering as the other plants. So it's like I have to make a mental note to like, okay, these are all watered, but oh, I can't water this one. So let's say, um, so for instance, that happens. So either I have to water it more often or I have to water it less. So I have one of my snake plants, for instance, is in a grouping of plants that get watered about every 2 weeks. And it does not get watered every 2 weeks. It gets watered once a month. And so that's just like an example where there are some like oddball plants that then I have to make a mental note. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't get watered this cycle. It gets watered the next cycle. Um, And I've been talking to Brian for years that I really want to set up like maybe put like barcodes on my plants or QR codes or something, and so that I can just when I water them, I can just like, you know, scan them all as I'm watering them. I can scan, water, and then have it on a list so I don't accidentally overwater anybody or accidentally underwater somebody and go, oh yeah, I watered that section, a weekend ago. So yeah, that plant should be fine. And then I miss it because that's what's happened. It's either I've ended up watering plants too much because of that situation, or I've ended up underwatering some plants. So it still happens. Um, yes, color code with fingernail paint. That's a great one. I did try with little these little like name tags that you stick into your plants that you write with a marker, but they were different colors. And so a lot of my plants I had like blue ones that meant be more watchful because those are going to need more water. But then I just had a bunch of like blue tags, and I was like, okay, I want a better system than this. Um, but so far so good. So this one, I don't know. Maybe I got a fluke plant. It's given me so much more growth. I have cut it. Um, so it's been great. It's been really, really great, and I'm really happy that it's happy. So I'm happy it's happy, and I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I understand that during the winter, it probably didn't mind that I was watering it much less, right? Because typically they need less water during the winter. So I might end up having to really, kick it up a notch now that it's warming up. It's probably going to get thirstier much faster. So I think I enjoyed a more laid back approach, and I'll have to be a little bit more cognizant, making sure that it's looking okay, because that is going to change. So the frequency of my watering everything is shifting. We're having longer days now. The temperature's also going up. Also, the humidity is going up. And so, for some of my plants, like the plants, especially in our bedroom, the succulents we have by a window that has a heater. So I end up actually watering them much more often in the winter because the heater is on, it dries them out super fast. So it's very different than my other succulent situations where, I'm watering them like every 3 weeks during the winter, but then others are complete different circumstance, and so you'll find that happens. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to bring it up a notch. Um, I got this new sprayer. I don't know if I showed what I got, but I'll go grab it just to show you. I'm really excited. Now, it's not going to work for all my plants because some of them, they have drainage holes like this. So, or I prefer to underwater them. Sorry, bottom water them. I'm losing my vocabulary today. Bottom water them. So I won't use this method. But for the my small propagations, plants that are in vessels that don't have drainage holes, this is going to really come in handy because I have some that it's not necessarily the pot doesn't have drainage holes, but it might be in a cache pose. So it's like a pot within a pot. And I can now fill it up with what I know it's going to take. And I don't have to take the plant out and do that anymore. So let me show you what I'm talking about. The really cool pump. I got it off Amazon. I think it was $14, and it holds 2 gallons, and I bought two. So we have one in our office, so Brian can use it, and that's where we keep our isopods as well. So it's great for the animals, the terrariums. And then we have another one for the bedroom. So I'll grab that. Let me hang this back, and then I'll grab the um, watering can that I'm talking about. Let me see here. You got to get up on this hook. Stretch. There we go. And let me grab There it is. I love this thing. Oops. I'm banging it on everything. Here we go. Oh, now Jules and Mozart are in cuddle mode. So, yeah, Jules goes from bothering Mozart to loving on him. Um, but this is what I purchased. So, it's super cool. Oh, it says 1 gallon, but it fits more than 1 gallon. It says 1 gallon, but uh, we got 1 gallon jugs to fill it with, so we were using spring water because with the other with like the regular plants, that's totally fine. We can use tap water, but for the isopods, we have to have one that's only spring water. So it can't have anything in it because that is harmful. So isopods are crustacean, and so yeah, they can't have anything um, like chlorinated or any of the chemicals that are in the water. It could negatively impact them. It can cause their the colony to crash. So only using this type of water in the office. But yeah, it definitely holds more than a gallon. It says it's a gallon, but we've filled it up with a gallon jug and there's still room in it. So it's slightly more. Um, and then it has this sprayer and you can mess with the nozzle to increase or decrease the flow. And then it's a pump action. Let me not hit the cats with it. I'm just setting it down here. But basically like this. Then you lock it and then you can go ahead and spray using it. So it's great. I really like it. It's been wonderful. I'm really loving using this as a tool. And so I highly recommend it. It's pretty inexpensive. It holds a lot of water. Um, and it really gets the job done. It's much more precise. So even like for small, I can like make it more of a stream than a spray. So this is good like for misting in our terrariums. But then you can also loosen it up to make it more of like a stream. And so that's great for like my little succulents, my little succulent propagations where I just need to fill the vessel up with water. Um, Wonderful. And then it's just squeeze, little trigger. And yeah, this is wonderful. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Um, it's been working great. So I'm happy with that. Um, yeah, there's let me see here. Oh, see, now you guys are arguing again. Are you good? No fighting. Please, no fighting. Just relax. Oh no. And now Maple, here comes Maple. We'll see what Maple does here. Um, but yeah, I'm getting into the full swing of things. It's spring. Uh, so yeah, there's gonna be some repotting. I am gonna have to repot that Hoya linearis soon. Um, it's I can see when I lift it's getting a little root bound. Um, and so I know I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to repot it, but I really don't. I'm gonna try to put it off as long as possible because I've managed to keep it pretty happy. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. It's repotting is always nerve-wracking. Um, but yeah, for that one, I'm trying to think who else I need to repot. I think I have to repot some of my bigger euphorbia. I have this chocolate chip euphorbia that there's two plants in the pot, but the mix that it's in, it's mostly cocoa fiber, and that is holding, it's like a peat and cocoa fiber mix that holds a lot of moisture. So I've just been letting it be pretty dry. I water it and then I don't water it for a month. So I've been keeping it pretty dry to keep it okay, but I think it might be a better call to just either remove some of that substrate and try to replace it with better substrate without messing with the roots too much, or kind of take a look, maybe kind of do that and see how entwined their root systems are. And I might actually separate them and put them in their own pots, just because it just worries me that I just don't want them to be sitting in that extra moisture and then end up, losing them. So it, I rather separate them. Um, Now our Chaco our El Chaco Red Rojo, is it El Chaco Red? Completely forgot how that name went. I think it's El Chaco Red. Is getting is getting a little bit bigger. So um yeah, I might end up having to do that. Oh, Marianne asked, do you watch Gardener's World? There was a houseplant collector who had amazing plants and got really excited about plant swaps. No, I have not. Um, Gardener's World. No, I haven't. Um, there are some plant swaps happening here in New York City, which I'm also really excited about. And there is a pet store here called Tom's Pet Supply, and that has become a haven now for a lot of houseplant events. So there's a plant swap, um, and like little pop-ups happening there. So if you happen to be in New York City, that might be a great option. There's also um, swaps happening. I think like yeah, I've seen some like posted for Brooklyn. So they're happening. They're starting to pick up. I need to check out Gardener's World because no, I don't. I haven't watched that. So I definitely would like to. Yeah, plant swaps are so great. You can end up meeting really nice people. There's also some like shops that will have even swaps like Plant Corner. I think it's in Manhattan. Yeah, Plant Corner. I think it's in Manhattan. That one is really neat. They have test tubes similar to these that I have on the wall, but they're like individual. Like they're just kind of sitting there. Uh, and what happens is you go in with a cutting, you put in your own cutting and then take one. So there's all different species there. So there's like syngoniums and there's little monstera cuttings. There's things like peperomias or snake plants. And so you can go ahead and you provide a cutting. It has to be pest free and, has to be a healthy cutting. And you can put it into a test tube and then take a plant out of a test tube. I really like that idea. Um, I just feel like I would just show up with I'll just prune a bunch of my plants and then and do that. Um, I know I have a couple, I think some of my euphorbias, like my spenacladas, I might want to prune back, and I think I need to prune back a little bit of my dragon fruit cactus. So yeah, there's probably going to end up being a bunch of cuttings from from those plants because yeah. Oh, it's on BBC presented by Monty Don. I need to look this up. So Gardener's World. Let's see. I can look it up right here. Well, let's share the screen in case other folks want to find it. So BBC Gardener's World. No, I haven't watched that. One show I did enjoy watching that was on BBC was it was like Garden Makeover, maybe? Maybe that was it. What Garden Makeover? I think it was called Garden Makeover. Garden Rescue. Is it that? Is it Garden Rescue? I think it is. Yeah. This is really great where they will come to your garden, do an assessment, uh, ask you what it is that you're looking for, and then go ahead and redo your garden space to fit your needs. And they also take into account where you live, how much water you're getting, how much light you're getting, and kind of choose the plants accordingly. And they actually did a really great rescue where the one of the people that was the actual gardener was in a wheelchair, and so that's actually where I had seen them do a raised bed that was on a cart. So one, it could be moved if needed, but it was also higher level so that she could work comfortably um, on the garden bed. So having them on wheels, so they were mobile, but then also at a higher level so that she can work with them. So super, super cool. I've seen some really, really cool ones. And so yeah, the garden rescue, that was fun. BBC has some really great shows. Um, but I have not watched Gardener's World. So I'm excited to check this out. 'Cause yeah, no, definitely didn't have that. I'm trying to remember there was one show that I was watching a few years ago. It was like during COVID. Um, but they were giving it uh here, and it was a BBC show, and I can never, I don't know, I don't think it was called The Alphabet of Gardening, or it was something, maybe the ABCs of Gardening, something like that. But basically each episode they pick like a letter, so like the letter A, and so then they focused on apples, and so it was a whole episode on apples and how apples are grown and how you make different varieties of apples, how apples are processed. um Really, really cool. And then like the next episode was a bee, and I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but I watched a couple episodes and I really liked it, and then I completely forgot to keep watching it, and then I don't remember anymore what what the title was. But there are some really, really great shows like that that are, yeah, BBC especially. One show I got obsessed with for BBC that wasn't even plant related was the Obsessive Compulsive Cleaners. I binged that during COVID. It was love that show. But yeah, no, there's a lot of really great series. That's so cool. All right. So Gardener's World. So that's something else I'm gonna start watching. Um, there's a really great documentary. It's like a yeah, I guess it's, you can call it a documentary on um Max right now, on HBO Max. I'm not finished with it. I'm about halfway through, but I think it's called Trees and Other Entanglements. There we go. Um, so yeah, I'm like halfway through. It's pretty interesting. I think I was at the part where it's this what's his name? Wayne Hauser, Warren Heiser. Basically, this he comes from a family that got rich with timber, so with logging and cutting down trees. And this is only like one of the stories told in the series. Um, but yeah, how they apparently were either sponsoring or own a collection of bonsai trees. And so the narrator was, just saying how it was ironic that they make money, or maybe it was an interviewee, but basically it was ironic that they make money out of cutting down trees, but then they were having like an exhibit where they were showcasing um, these bonsai trees that take, so much love and care and time to grow. And then they talked more about bonsai and the practice. Uh, it's really interesting. It definitely kind of like hops around and just follows different people's stories. I think there's also one individual where her family had spent like 50 years taking care of some land, and they tried to keep it pristine and managed it, tried to keep, the invasives out, keep it like conservation quality, basically. And when they sold the land a few years later, I think it was like 5 or 6 years later, the land had been assessed and it was deemed like they gave it basically like conservation status. So essentially, they were putting it uh kind of like registering like the county was registering it as like a piece of land that could not be touched, right? So people could buy and sell the land, but they couldn't um do any like extensive uh like renovations that would harm the land in any way. And it would basically be preserved. And then the person who owned the land now got like an award or like a special recognition. And so then the family, um, so I think it was the granddaughter in her interview was just expressing that, he had only owned the land for a few years and the work had been done by her family for decades. Um, and so it's just, yeah, it's like just about trees and how they've touched people's lives, and it's really interesting. So far so good. And it's yeah, it's I'm about halfway through. So if you do have HBO Max, check it out. I'm not sure. Sometimes these become available on YouTube. There are so many amazing documentaries on YouTube that I highly recommend. I think there's one on YouTube right now. Um, I think it's called the Queen Tree, and it's a fig tree. Um, the Queen of Trees. There we go. Maybe that's what it's called. Flora. There we go. Flora of Middle Earth. So I have this one. Um, and yeah, and it explores plants that he wrote about in his Lord of the Rings and trilogy. And yeah, because he based some of the plants on real plants. So he either changed the names or he used the real names. What are you doing back there? Um, and he did like use actual plants or base uh, plants on real plants and then just change the name. But then there are some that he just completely made up, and really cool uh, book. It's really, really cool to check it out. Um, oh my gosh, Marianne, A to Z of TV gardening, Carol Kirkwood. Oh my gosh, I think that is the series. I think that is the series. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna pop that. I love you guys. Seriously. Oh my God. I think you're absolutely correct. Oh my God. Yes. Apples. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, and that was season two. I didn't even realize they were giving it, they were airing it on, because this is a Samsung TV, and so it comes with some channels, so you don't have to have cable. It's like just there's some channels on there, and I remember just starting it, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and I started watching it, and they were giving like a few episodes, and I loved it, and I could not remember what it was called. And I couldn't find it again. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. 'Cause now I have to see. Oh, that is so cool. That is so, so cool. That is awesome. because yeah, now I need to watch these in order because it looks like I started on season two. I didn't know. I thought the letter A was like the first season. I had no idea. Oh, there we go. Oh, that is so neat. Yeah, this definitely oh, I'm about to go into a big rabbit hole. Thank you. That is awesome. Yeah, and even oh man, even just seeing uh the different plants there over the weekend, Brian and I took a walk around the neighborhood and I saw some pansies in there, so it reminded me of the violets. So look at these violets. Let me see if should I lower the brightness, I think so. There we go. These violets that are growing in my neighbor's yard. I think they're viola tricolor, if I'm not mistaken. Um, super, super pretty, and they're all coming out. So saw some regular like the purple violets as well. Oh, and also our neighbor, I'd never seen this before, but they were growing. So see this giant clump here? That is oxalis, so shamrocks. Um, and it was just growing in a huge clump, and she had several, and they were huge. Like they were like all around with the three leaves together. It came like a diameter like that, and it had these pink. It's they weren't blooming yet. Oh, why is it? There we go. So they weren't blooming yet, but they were going to. They're going to be opening up, and they're like a hot, not a hot pink, but like the inside looks like the hotter, like a brighter pink. But these giant clumps, like just these little mounds of oxalis. That's new. We hadn't seen those in her yard. And then she had, of course, a bunch of grape hyacinth growing as well. I love just that color. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then we have two sawtooth oaks across the street, and they're starting to have their catkins. So I believe they're the male flowers, and then the leaves are starting to come out, and you can see the serration. So this is an oak tree. It's just it looks different, right, than other oaks. It doesn't have those lobes that we typically think when we think oaks. We think um, that type of oak leaf, right, that has a bunch of lobes. This one is much like a thinner, um, and it has serrated edges, but it is indeed an oak tree. Very, very cool oak tree. And they tend to retain their leaves as well in the winter, uh, similarly to other oaks as well. And I'm trying to see, we saw, yeah, it was the oxalis. Oh, I got this great shot of Mozart and Jules by our El Chaco red philodendron. Let me see. Might have to brighten this one in comparison to the other ones. Oh, nope. There we go. That glare, because they were standing in front of the window. But yeah, so they were hanging out there in front, and the Chaco was just I was about to water it, so you could see it needed some water. Now it's all perked up and upright again. But I had to snap that picture of the boys. But yeah, it's really nice to walk around and see. Here's a close-up picture of some of the grape hyacinth. Uh, super, super cool. There's also purple dead nettle as well that's coming out. So purple dead nettle. That is a member of the mint family, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the Lamiaceae family. And there was also chickweed growing all around it. Um, Let me see. Oh yeah, so there was chickweed and then there's a bunch of moss. And so I was trying to get some close-ups on the moss, because it's also starting to put out their I'm I'm forgetting what they're called because they're not technically flowers like what they're putting out, but they're um gametophytes. But basically they release like I think it's is it spores? I think so. Um I need to I need to go deeper into mosses again because I am starting to collect more from outside. So I wanna deep dive more into mosses. And then this was, I believe it's some type of squill. Oh gosh, it's always have to lower that brightness and then I lose the picture. Look at that. White with those blue lines. Really, really pretty. So that was like the other Friday. Um but yeah, so it's really nice to go out and see the flowers again. And I was working on one of the closets over the weekend and getting out the spring attire. So I was putting some of the sweaters away and taking out some of our spring clothes, and that included this poppy shirt, for instance. So I was like, oh yay, I get to take out some of the uh, floral uh, shirts that I have that are much lighter shirts, and also my my dresses. I have a lot of flower related dresses. So it's nice to finally start pulling that out of storage. And then I was putting a bunch of sweaters into into storage. So switching those out. Um yeah. And I really realized, holy moly, I have a lot of flower and like plant related clothing. Like this is like 90% of my wardrobe is just has like either leaves or flowers. Um and there are some, like I do have a pine cone sweater, but and it's just pine cones. But I was like, yeah, I do really have a lot of this. There I didn't realize until like you have your clothes in front of you and you're like, whoa. So yeah, I definitely have quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I even had like little jackets and things also covered in flowers. That I was like, oh, I haven't, because you forget, you put them away once it starts getting cold, and then you completely just, I hadn't opened that closet basically since the beginning of winter because I had put away all the spring stuff, spring and summer stuff, and so it was nice to refine that. Here's Jules behind me. Um, as long as he doesn't tip that over, we're good. So this is actually one of my teaching tools, and so it's the anatomy of an angiosperm. So with flowers, you have the sepals and the petals, and then you have the female part of the plant, of the flower, sorry, and the male parts of the flower, and they all pull out. So even if he tips it over, I mean, I can put it back together, but just rather he doesn't. But it's super cool. So I like using these types of teaching aids. Gonna put that there, and I really do need to catalog it. So these are all mushrooms that are also for teaching aids. They're all just molds, like they're meant to represent actual like mushroom species, um, like the stinkhorn mushrooms before they emerge. Look like a little egg. There's all different types, um, but these are all they're all fake. little button mushrooms. But yeah, I love these. Oh, the veiled, they're so pretty. So I like having these because then I can talk about them and I can show you what they look like um, without actually having them on hand. These are cool. And what I like is that it has even the younger growth. So when it starts pinning, so that these are known as like when it starts pinning, this is what it looks like initially, and then it starts to grow. Um, Basically, this is all like water, really. It's all that moisture is helping kind of keep them inflated, and then um, that's why mushrooms, oh man, mushrooms, you really have a very short window to harvest them. So I love when you can actually purchase these like models because yes, you might purchase some mushrooms and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna use this to teach and give it a couple days and it's not gonna look the same. It's not, unfortunately. It's an unfortunate truth there, but all right. But thanks so much everyone, seriously, for hopping on and hanging out. Marianne, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you figured out the title of that show. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because now that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be putting that on while I'm cooking and watching that first season. I didn't even know that it was like one a multiple season. I thought it was like when they do those mini series, like I it was on and I said, this is fun, and I just kept watching it. Yeah, oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Because yeah, I'm about to dig into that. But yeah, thanks so much everyone. And if anybody is in New York City, if you want to get together, I'm planning to actually sit down this week and start to schedule out classes both in person and online and walk. So I'm gonna have a lot of my mornings free during the week, especially. And so if you are in New York City, let me know because I could organize. We could just, hey, what's a good day? If maybe let's say Wednesday morning is great for folks, we can pick a local park. If you guys want to go to Central Park, if you want to go to I can go out to Pelham Bay Park. I can go to, different parks. We can go to Prospect Park. So we can go, even in Manhattan, Inwood, yeah, Inwood Hill. Um, so there's so many different parks that we could go and, I don't have to have been, I wouldn't have had to have been to the park before. You can just drop me somewhere and then, we'll discover what trees and plants there are along the way. But I really want to start posting those. And so I do paid walks and then I do a lot of free walks. So especially when it's places I've never been, I love that because we can just go and hang out, check out the plants, discuss them. Um, and there's a couple of books that I have put aside that I'm going to be digging into in these next few weeks. I have one on plant technology, so about just different ways that plants were used to help with the technological advancement of humans. There is also one on using plants for dyeing, for like coloring. So I really want to learn more about that and what plants can be used and the processes for that. Um, there's also like another book that I put aside that's all about the natural history of like New York State as well. So I want to learn more about that, about kind of like how the forest looked before. And then I'm going to be diving back into that book I had, which is called Forest Forensics. And so I highly recommend that if that's of any interest. So it's a small book. It's called Forest Forensics, but then it comes with a guide that you would purchase separately that's called Reading. It's like reading the forest forensics. Um, and so that is supplementary but very helpful because the forest forensics book is written from a perspective of like you already know the terminology, and there was a lot of terminology in there, and uh some like that were written kind of like you would know, and I was like I don't know. So I really appreciate that they have that book that you basically purchase that gives you a little bit of that, it fills in those knowledge gaps and gives you kind of that foundational knowledge to then where now you can check out that little guidebook and it makes much more sense. And you can really understand like where it was going and how to utilize it to the best of your, to in the best way, most effective way possible. So with that forest forensics book, it's basically showing you where you can walk into a forest, take a look at a section, and by seeing what kind of trees, how old those trees look, are there some like younger trees? Are there downed trees? Is there leaf litter? Is it like level, or are there pits? Um, it tells a story. So, looking at the soil, what kind of soil? So and how big are the crowns? How much sunlight is coming through? And it can, by using that guidebook, it's basically teaching you to look and recognize these types of things and then understand what those mean. So it could show that maybe there was if there are younger trees, and you see like remnants of older trees, and how to identify potential damage that could have been caused by some type of pest. So it's like, this is a new flush of trees that have, emerged after a massive die-off. Here, this is a mother tree, and these are actually, her offspring or offshoots in some ways. In some species, they like aspens, beeches, things like that. Really, really interesting. So I'm gonna dive back into that so that I can go back and do some more field work. So yeah. Um oh, thanks, Suzanne. Yes, the YouTube on moss. I need to finish reading Gathering Moss. I think Robin Wall Kimmerer, I believe, wrote that one. And then there's also a book I have on my to read list, and it's called Murder Most Florid, and and I have to see. I'm not sure. I haven't read it, so I'm not sure if it's um more of like it's the doctor talking about their work, or it's the doctor, because it's written by a forensic botanist. So I'm not sure if the doctor's writing like a dramatized account of a case that they worked on, or a fictional one rather, or if they're talking about their work. But it's basically about how a forensic botanist, how they work, how they can use plants to determine like time of death and location and time of year and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't cracked it open yet, so I'm not sure if it's like a nonfiction book or if it's a fiction book. Uh, but either way, I'm excited to check that one out. Because that's again, learning more about like those processes and those clues, and so yeah, that one I can actually see because it's right here on the shelf. So I'm not sure if it's fictional or if it's um let me see here. So, oh, I guess it's non-fictional. Okay. So here it is, Murder Most Florid, and it's inside the mind of a forensic botanist. And so Dr. Mark Spencer is a forensic botanist. In other words, he helps police with cases where plants can unlock clues to solve crimes, from murder to arson to burglary. And Murder Most Florid is an enthralling first-person account that follows Mark's unconventional and unique career, one that takes him to woodlands, wastelands, roadsides, as well as police labs to examine botanical evidence of serious crimes, from unearthing a decomposing victim from brambles to dissecting the vegetation of a shallow grave. Mark's botanical knowledge can be crucial in securing a conviction. So it looked really cool. And so again, anything plant related, I will grab it because then again, it's it's something different, something new, another perspective. So yeah, this is also on my to be read list. So I have a little pile going. Um, and so I'm going to be digging into those, and I'm going to be writing up reviews about those books as well. So I'm going to be picking that up. Is doing my reviews on these books. I have so many plant related books. I literally have uh in here. So I think these top ones aren't. I think these are Legos. These are Legos, Lego sets that I have. Oh yeah, I have to finish these or off-brand Lego sets too. So I have some of these. So these are some. I think the top ones are the Legos. I have to do this one. I started it, but I have to finish it. But then, yeah, and then starting behind me, these are all uh books on on different plants, and so on like plant related things. So, like for instance, this one I got for like $1, $2. This one was a used book, and so this is the natural history of the Chicago region. So, uh, again, it's just, yeah, an excuse to learn more about plants occurring in different regions. I am going to be doing more research on New Mexico because I might be teaching remotely, doing a class for them. And so I'm going to be, they asked me to submit, they reached out and they asked me to submit some um, proposals for curriculums. And so they're going to check them out. And that'll be really fun to add that to your resume, like college professor. So that would be really cool. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, but yeah, so I want to dig into I might even try to see if Brian and I can just take a trip out to New Mexico for a couple days, like maybe like a 4-day weekend or something, so that I can also like actually go out there and see the plants and not just read about them. Um, and so that when I'm talking about certain like plants, I can use real life examples of plants that they can step outside and see because it's obviously very different landscape than here in New York City. And so I want to, be more well versed, of course, and not just be teaching from like books, but actually go and have firsthand experience checking out the plants, maybe collecting a couple specimens, and yeah, so that might be a really cool like side quest. So we'll see. We'll see if I can manage to do that. When do you find time to read? It's very difficult. It's when I possibly can. It's usually if like during a lunch break, or like right before bed. Or if it just so happens that you have like, an hour or two where you actually don't have anything scheduled, that's when I try. I do have a lot of books and audio books as well that I just listen to. So I'm like doing dishes uh, or I'm on the subway, and I'm just listening to books as well. But a lot of these I have actual hard copies of. So um, yeah, I have to get back into reading like I used to. So I used to be able to finish like 100-page book, like in a day. That was like nothing for me before, and now it's very, very difficult. I probably read in like maybe like 20-page increments. And so it's not the same. And I look back and I go, how did I devour books at that rate? Because now it's like, oh no, my brain is tired. Like I'm zonking out after like 20 pages. I'm like, okay, it's interesting, but I'm gonna go to bed now. Um, so yeah, I can't keep up with it, but Yeah, some little by slowly. That's how that's how I do it. And as I'm writing, I'm gonna be making notes, and writing up little reviews on them so that folks can check them out. And yeah, so I'm excited. So it's like a forced excuse to read because I'm telling myself I need to write some reviews. So then it's like forcing me then like, okay, you gotta carve out time to read so that you can do that. So yeah, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, but thanks so much everyone for hopping on again and hanging out. I'm gonna be putting these babies into some pots, um, hopefully keeping them happy. Yeah, and I'll give you guys updates, and yeah, we'll end up seeing each other next week. Um, yes, thanks, Suzanne. Yeah. And everyone seriously have a great week and stay safe. I hope you guys are enjoying for those of you that are in areas where you're getting springtime weather, that you're enjoying it. I'm definitely going to be opening up all the windows because it went from getting being really chilly to absolutely gorgeous. So I want to like open up all the windows and let all that nice weather in. But thanks so much, everyone. Seriously. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week. And bye for now.